Hello, everybody, and welcome to this solar eclipse video for the solar eclipse in Shatabhishak Nakshatra, which is going to take place on the 15th of February. Now, this particular eclipse is not going to be visible in a large part of the globe. It's a partial solar eclipse. Southern South America, it will be visible more southern ocean area of the globe in the southern hemisphere, not even in Australia. It's further south than that. Antarctica, it will be more visible. A lot of people don't know what the whole technology of eclipses is, if I can use that word. And so please pardon if this seems like a lengthy explanation for those of you who do. But a lunar eclipse, which we had on the 31st, or if you're watching this before the 31st, are soon to have on the 31st, takes place when you have a full moon that is connecting to one of the nodes, Rahu or Ketu. And a solar eclipse happens when you have a new moon that's connecting to one of the nodes, Rahu or Ketu. Now, this particular solar eclipse is happening in close proximity to Ketu. We'll cover a little bit more of that in a moment, what the meaning of that is and Ketu's influence upon this particular eclipse. The exactitude of the new moon that's connected with this eclipse is going to be at 9:05 p.m. UK time. You can look up what time that is in your own particular time zone. That doesn't mean that that's when the eclipse will be visible. If you happen to be watching this in the southern part of South America, etc. You can also find out where it's visible online and all that information. So, one part of you, and a rather large part of you, is rather confused about purpose, is rather confused about responsibility, uncertain about the steps or the direction that needs to be taken in terms of shifting a situation onward, unclear about how much of the change is your responsibility and how much of the change might be somebody else's responsibility. And you've kind of got one foot forward in a change and another foot that's still living in the past. And part of what is going to help you to move forward at this particular period of time is looking at whether or not you might be taking something on yourself that is not really yours to be taking on, right? Part of it is yours. Part of it is yours. I will say that, right? And the part of it that is yours, one part of you might feel resentful in taking that part on because you feel like in order to do that, it's kind of beneath you, not worthy of your time, something that you're kind of having to stoop down to. But then there's a large part of it that you're thinking that you're having to stoop down in order to help somebody else. And you know what? Get over the martyr bit, okay? Because it's not all necessarily yours, right? And if you're going to place yourself in that position where you're accepting that particular responsibility, if you're going to place yourself in the position where you're thinking that this is yours to do, and if you think that you're kind of in a position where you're doing it because it's something that you care about, and that if you were to not do it, you'd be kind of putting forward this appearance of being uncaring, then you have to look at how much you really care, right? And how much you just might be concerned about an appearance that's connected to a particular situation. Because really, the best type of help or the best type of assistance that's really able to come into a situation is when you're really able to kind of give of yourself selflessly. And if you're in a position where you're not giving of yourself selflessly, but instead you're kind of in a position where you're giving of yourself in a resentful type manner, then it's a clear sign of some sort of either boundary issue where you're not really able to set clear boundaries for yourself, or B, a lack of understanding of what really you might be taking on and whether or not somebody else is really wanting you to, on a certain level, take this on for them. And it's not a simple process to sort through. And I'm not saying that all of a sudden with this particular solar eclipse, you're going to immediately sort through all of these problems and all of these issues. As a matter of fact, it's something that's likely going to be ongoing for several months, because basically eclipses do tend to function that way. If you want to understand what areas of your life it pertains to most deeply, you can look at what house basically the solar eclipse is taking place in for you as an individual. You can look at what the sun rules in your particular horoscope. Also involved in this eclipse are the moon, Mercury, and Venus, because you've got Mercury, moon, sun, and Venus all in one closely knit section of Shatabhishak Nakshatra, right? Now, Saturn is forming an angle to this eclipse, and Saturn is kind of bringing into the equation some much needed humility. It's putting the brakes on a process. It's kind of bringing some resistance into a situation, because it's asking you to take a look at perhaps a battle that you might be involved in, which is really a battle that you're kind of stuck in within yourself. Right? And the fact that you're kind of engrossed in that particular battle is keeping you from seeing the situation that you're dealing with in a clear manner. And it's kind of placing you in a position where you think that something is your responsibility. But if you were to ask somebody else's opinion on that situation, they might be kind of going, well, I didn't ask you to do this, right? And so it's creating a lot of tension and confusion in this particular situation. So the best way to confront it and to understand it is with a large dosage of humility and a willingness to look at the situation. And if things are kind of stuck, looking at why they might be stuck, and looking at perhaps the fact that it's not necessarily your responsibility to make them unstuck. And it's not your responsibility to, or maybe perhaps not your responsibility to make it unstuck all by yourself, right? And nobody's really asking you to do that, but you somehow think it's your responsibility. Something else that can help you with this is Ketu's position in Dhanishta Nakshatra. And it's basically stating that, number one, first of all, you have to be true to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. And you have to be clear about your own particular needs in this situation. But it's also asking you to reflect back upon the past. Now, that's not me saying that you need to do something that you did before. I'm not excluding that. But probably the best bit of help or assistance that you can get from the past is just looking at everything that brought you to this particular moment in time. Looking at all the twists and turns that brought you here, accepting them, the things you didn't like, kind of accepting them, embracing them, the things that you did like, really reliving that memory for a moment. Don't get stuck there, but let yourself experience, because there's some key information in there that's going to click some parts in your psyche that are going to help you to discover a deeper level of strength within yourself and resolve that's going to help you to shift this situation forward. If you'd like a little bit of help with understanding this eclipse cycle as it affects your own particular horoscope, I do offer several different levels of astrological service that are available through the astrological services page of my website. If you'd like to schedule something with me, there should be a link that you'll see right about now up in the video above. So keywords here are: not all of this is your responsibility, and it's not empowering to another individual for you to shoulder it all yourself, and I don't think somebody else is really asking you to, right? The part of it that is your responsibility, accept it. Don't think that it's something that's beneath you. One part of you is afraid of losing face. You can't lose true dignity. True dignity is something that's inside of you. It can't be diminished. It can't be reduced. The way you connect to that dignity up here, that can be diminished. So there's nothing that's beneath you in this particular situation, especially something that is your responsibility. But if you're thinking that your responsibility is somehow beneath you, then that again denotes a certain sense of arrogance in association with this situation. And if you think that all of this is your responsibility, that equally denotes a certain level of arrogance. So the best way to approach it is with a sense of humility. That will help you to sort through the confusion. That's going to do it for a look at the solar eclipse in Shatabhishak Nakshatra, which takes place on the 15th of February, 2018. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.